The following episode contains language and descriptions of violence and self-harm. It may not be appropriate for all listeners, but it was my life. Discretion is advised. Welcome back to another episode of Roll Call with Chappy. I got a special treat for you guys today. I know I feel like I always say that too, but this is a good friend of mine, Robbie Eggers. We were in prison together, been through some, just literally life-changing shit. We're going to get into all that stuff, but not only that, I remember when I first met him on the yard, you go by DOC numbers in there. So when you're on the yard, it's like, you know how old school or how OG someone is by their DOC number, how much time they've done, And I remember seeing your DOC number, and we always say like it's a fish number, because it was like, I could tell it was a couple years old only, and you'd already had some lightning bolts on your stomachs, which means you've stabbed somebody in prison. And I remember right when I met you, I was like thinking, what the hell are you doing getting involved in the politics like this, bro, when you're a short timer like that, and he had like 3 or 4 years to do.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And now the person you are today is almost, it's unbelievable. And I'll tell you one more thing real quick. If people aren't in recovery, for the most part, I don't try to associate people from prison out here. Like, I don't have time for none of that stuff, and I'm completely changed my life. When you sent me a DM on Instagram, this is random as hell, too. It was like 10 years after I'd been out, or 8 years after I'd been out, and we did some stuff, got involved in some stuff later that we're going to talk about. But I get a random DM from you, and it said, hey, I just saw you on Bradley's Dropping Bombs podcast. What's up, or something like that. And instantly I was like, holy shit. What's crazy? It was so bad to her, and I changed my life so much. I was like, oh my God, shit, Robbie knows I'm around here, something like that. But I'm like, seriously, bro. It's
yes.
like, that shit was like, it's the real deal stuff in there, and it like instantly brought me back to, I was like, oh my God. It was like the most anxiety ever. And then we ended up getting on the phone, and to say you changed your life and found God or whatever is like an understatement, So we're going to get into talking about how like using bad situations for positive stuff is like true to a T, and we're both prime examples of that. So that was a long ass introduction, but thank you for being here, Robbie.
Appreciate it. It was crazy seeing you, because I went through a period of time where I was just podcast, and Brad Lee was like my dude. And so I would just go through, and on my way to work, I would find a podcast that I would like want to learn more about. And I remember seeing your name, Peter Meyerhoff, and I'm like, oh, that name sounds familiar, but it didn't like ring a bell.
Because I went by Chappy.
You went by Chappy, right?
Yeah.
And then and I never thought like you would be on. Like,
for sure.
Realistically, last time
I saw you,
alive.
Yeah.
Dude, like last time I saw you, you were doing some stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't think you'd be on Brad Lee's podcast, And so I remember hearing your voice, and it was like, I remember I was getting on the 202, and I was just thinking, holy shit, Chappy's doing good, right? And I don't talk to anybody from prison except for like 2 or 3 people that are like, they're sober, they've got their shit together.
Shout out to Will Morgan.
Will Morgan, love you, bro. Yeah, so, and I don't, because I have that wall up where it's like, I was a different person then.
For sure.
You're probably a different person then. Like,
you have to make yourself a different person to get through that shit.
And so I remember doing that, and I instantly hit you up, because obviously you're not on his podcast because you're doing bad.
For sure.
So I looked at the context clues, and I was like, dude, I'm so happy.
What were your thoughts right then? Were you already doing well yourself, or were you thinking like, holy shit, we can actually do cool shit out here now? Because
I was just blown away, because I always looked at everybody. I was looking for inspiration. Everybody that was on Bradley's podcast is where I want to be. And so I was just flooding my brain with positivity and, multimillionaires, because I want that stuff.
For sure.
And so I just wanted the blueprint from everyone that had it. And just seeing you on there, I was like, man, it's possible, It's super cool. And I wanted to learn more, because last time you had a needle in your arm, right? When we were on the yard. And it's just so crazy that like you were able to flip. There's so many people that can, but it's the rarity, right?
And to show full transparency how bad I got in prison, I remember when I told Robbie, because it's so funny, bro. Like I remember, like I still remember like it was yesterday, because I remember like I saw when you were on the yard, I saw a lot of me in you, but I was also thinking like, don't like you're doing such a short time, like you don't have to be like this, you know what I'm saying? Like I was doing so long, I'm like, I'm not gonna be a layman here for all this time, but I was like, you're just so gung-ho, and it's like dude, I don't know the right words, but to say it's like it's so easily to be impressed when you want the OGs to look up look up to you, but like, oh, this little youngster's badass, you know what I'm saying? Yes. It's like it's crazy that you'll risk like life sentences just for that little bit of respect, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And do you remember when I told you I was like, dude, I'm like kind of broke down right now. This is not how I used to be. Because you guys were like, I'm literally 170 pounds, like strung out on heroin, like shooting dope every day. Like, and you know, when I'm sober, I'm, you know, 240 pounds or something like that. And I remember telling him like, dude, I always said like I just did past 10 years. And I said the 10 years I did like nothing, but those last couple years broke me, bro. Like that 12 years, like broke every single thing in me. I couldn't have done another year or a day or anything like that. It literally got everything out of me that it was supposed to.
Yeah.
So here, real quick, I know you had actually a good upbringing, and most of the people on my show had horrible upbringings,
Sure.
but I always like to be transparent and say, like, doesn't matter how you grew up, like, we can all end up in the same damn spot, you know? So breeze over real quick how you grew up, where you grew up, and then I want to get into how you started getting involved with drugs or
For sure.
what got you sent to prison.
Yeah, so I grew up in the East Valley. I grew up in Gilbert, Chandler, Mesa, all the area. And growing up, like I wasn't raised in a broken home. I had mom and dad were together. They never divorced. Had a couple sisters from my mom's previous marriage. And so it was, you know, 3 of us as kids, and it was very middle income. I never really wanted for anything. Christmas, birthday, I always had presents. I always had food. I didn't have that like story of, you know, eating bread and mayo for dinner.
For sure.
I grew up playing sports. My parents were super supportive. You know, for all intents and purposes, I was a jock growing up.
Cool.
And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to just play sports, football, wrestling, all that fun stuff, going up through high school. It wasn't until you talked about being easily impressionable, like, you know, when you're getting into high school and you're trying to figure out who you are, I didn't really have a crew that I fit in with at high school. I had, you know, I was a jock, but, you know, I didn't really fit in with the popular kids. I wasn't a stoner. I wasn't an outsider, right? So I would just kind of butterfly in between these groups. Mm-hmm. And so I was just trying to figure out my way. And that's really when I started getting involved with drugs is, you know, being offered Coke or to drink. And my parents were always drinking at home. So I would just, you know, steal their booze.
Yeah.
And so I think it was just being easily impressionable. And my parents had such a lock on me when I was a kid. Like, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. Bro, I used to have to come and check in with my dad and mom every hour on the hour. If I was late, I couldn't go back out and play.
Stop.
I swear. I would have my watch because I didn't have a phone. And it'd be like 4:55. And I'm like, guys, I got to run home to go check in, let them know what's going on. And like that's the type of childhood. And so when I got some freedom, I was like,
all balls
I
to
just
the
went
wall.
crazy, you know? And
I always talk about that too, because now with parenting too, you deal with this shit too.
Yes.
It's like, because my wife's the same thing. She was so sheltered, and like the second you get to college, it's like whatever. It's like, where do you draw the line now with parenting?
It's
and then
so
what
hard.
are your thoughts on parenting now with that?
Dude, it's so hard. Like I tend to be more of an asshole as a parent
Same.
because my dad was like that growing up. And even though I didn't like it, he taught me a lot of good values that as a man, I can look at him and say, Dad, I didn't appreciate it, but it was hard because how do you teach someone patience? Throw them in a cell for a long time, right? How do you teach them?
And I forgot patience as it is.
Yes.
So
You're just like, So how do you teach these things? How do you teach toughness? I think kids need to be tough. And so I don't coddle the kids. I let them cry. But it's a fine line because I love them. And so I go to bed and I'm like, did I do the right thing? Is how I want to parent them and the goal that I want them to be and are the things that I want to teach them, am I doing it the right way?
Yeah.
You know, because I've got 2 kids and one of them responds very differently than the other. And so it's hard, man. Parenting's a challenge and I constantly wonder if I'm doing the right thing. And, you know, I want them to be strong individuals and I know they're going to live their life, but I don't know, man.
It's crazy,
It's
right?
hard.
It's total different struggles too, because I always say it's like the hardest thing in the world. My wife's like, what's harder, this or prison? I was like, this times 100. Prison sucks, but it's like raising kids is like, it's actually tough. Like prison, you just sit there and it sucks, you know what I'm saying? But like, you don't, like, especially me, like you don't even think about going home. All right, so drinking and, were you doing cocaine in high school and stuff?
I tried cocaine in high school. That wasn't really my thing. It
How
was
old
more
were you when
so-
you finally went to prison?
When I went to prison, I was 20.
Okay.
Or no, 19.
So you graduated high school?
No, I got my GED in jail, actually.
Really?
4th Avenue, got my GED.
How old were you?
I was 19.
Why'd you drop out of high school?
Hold on. August 2010 is when I went in. So I was 20 years old. 20 to 25 is what I did.
Why'd you drop out of high school?
It's called truancy. I didn't show up enough. I was on a bunch of meds in high school, and so I wasn't going to class my senior year. And so I just gave up on going.
Your parents weren't tripping on that? Or
No,
what?
so I got kicked out of my house. So I had only a couple rules
Skip
at
this
home.
part, Robbie. When are you going to tell me this?
I know, right? Boom.
Yeah.
No, so I only had a few rules when I was at my parents' house. It was either I had to have a job, I had to go to school, and I had to do what they asked me to. Those are only the 3 rules. They'll do everything else until I'm 18. And I didn't have a job. And I was like, hey, I'm not going to go to school. And they're like, you don't have a place to live then. And so I got kicked out, and I started living with my buddy Carlos when I was 17 years old, living at his parents' house over on just down the street at the duplexes on Gilbert and Guadalupe.
Really?
Gilbert and Baseline right there.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I just started there. And so like that's where everything kind of bad, because I didn't have the structure of my parents' house. I didn't have my parents watching over what I was doing. And even before that, like 14, 15, I was just starting to hang around with like bad influences.
For sure.
But I was still
Like
really
crazy,
into sports. Yeah, just smoking weed. But what really hit for me is I started just being put under the microscope. And that's the thing. It wasn't like I was doing crazy stuff when I was a kid. It was I was doing coke on Wednesday when I have a drug test on Friday. Right? Like I was just being an idiot.
Literally, yeah.
And so I was in drug court, which you have a test Monday, Friday, and you have a random. Like you're not getting caught.
Yeah.
Or you're not getting away with anything.
For sure.
And so it was just under the microscope. So every time I did mess up, I'd go to jail for a day or 2 days because it's just staggered like that.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'll go on a side tangent. I remember Judge Gaylord. I was told by him that if I relapse again or if I make one more mistake, he's going to sentence me to the Juvenile Department of Corrections, Adobe Mountain.
Okay.
And he died. So I messed up after he told me that. So I was figuring I'd go. And he ended up dying, coming back from the lake. There was a truck that was towing a boat, overcorrected, killed him on his motorcycle.
No
They put
way.
another judge in. They gave me one more shot, and I didn't go to Adobe Mountain.
No way.
It was so wild.
Wow.
Divine intervention, bro. I swear there's no
for
other
sure.
reason for it.
Yeah. All right, so 18 to 20, then what are you doing? Just on the streets?
18 to 20, I
being a
was crazy.
jackass?
Yeah, crazy. I was getting in fights all the time.
Okay.
I would just get drunk, and then I would do coke. 19 years old, I started doing meth.
You're a wrestler too? Oh, you're a bad dude then fighting, huh?
Yeah, I had anger, dude,
Yeah.
and I don't know why.
You're freakishly strong too. People that don't know, like you are.
Yeah, thanks. So, but I would get drunk, and then that's when all the bad decisions would come out, and I'm like,
It's weird how that shit works out,
it
huh?
is so weird. So drinking has always been my drug of choice.
Okay.
But then after that, it's whatever's in front of me. Acid, crack, cocaine, meth, all this stuff.
Whatever, yeah.
Whatever's in front of me, I'll do.
So what did you get arrested for finally when you went to prison?
Aggravated assault. So I had one prior. I was 18 years old. My buddy, and so to backtrack, when I was growing up in Gilbert, I had these three brothers that lived like 3 houses down from me.
Okay.
They had like 3 years of an age gap. So the youngest brother is like 6 or 7 years younger than me. He's a kid.
Yeah.
And so I would always hang out with them. Like they were super cool family. And I remember the oldest brother started getting into drugs. And his youngest brother hits me up out of the blue one day after I took ecstasy. And he hits me up and he's like, hey, this 18-year-old wants to fight me. And our thing back in the day is like, I would always protect these kids because they would always get picked on.
Yeah.
And I was like the anti-bully. Like
Yeah.
if someone was bullying them, I would go fight for my friends.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. So he hits me up and I'm like, I'll be there. So I ended up meeting this kid, beat him up. It was in the park next to a 7-Eleven. And that was my first aggravated assault because I broke his jaw.
Really?
It was, yeah. And so that was kind of postponed. And then I started getting in more trouble and they kind of threw the
Brought
book
that
at
shit
me.
back up too then.
Yeah,
huh?
they brought it up.
So what'd you finally get sent to prison for and arrested for?
Aggravated assault
And you got sent for 5 years?
for 5 years, yeah. I signed a plea for 2 to 7. And then they gave me a slightly aggravated sentence for 5 years. And then they gave me intense probation when I got released.
Ooh. Did you complete that?
I did.
Okay, cool.
Well, because I went to the rehab afterwards.
sure.
And it like coincided with it.
All right, now we're gonna get into some cool stuff.
Yeah.
So now you're 20 years old, heading to prison.
Yes.
What are your thoughts when you're heading to prison? Because I remember my thoughts just, like I had so much time, and like I thought eventually I was like, I'm gonna figure out how to just like drink and chill, but I'm not gonna do drugs anymore, and like just like live like a normal life. Like,
Yeah.
but I have to do that stuff. Like, what are your thoughts going to prison? What's your mindset?
Thoughts going to prison?
Yes.
Dude, you could talk to like all my cellies before I went to prison. I would always ask, what's the yard like? All right, how do you act in this scenario? Like I wanted to be fully prepared. And I wanted to prove myself. Like I wanted to go in there and
Like, were you going there knowing you're gonna get involved in politics?
yeah,
and shit?
100%.
Really?
I wanted it. I was like, here's
Why?
because maybe like a self-fulfilling prophecy or something like that. Like those, when you're in school, you want to be the popular kid. When you're at a job, you want to be the best.
That's my analogy I always have when it's school. You know? It's
Yeah,
like,
it's like whatever you're doing, you want to do the best at. So if I'm going to go away for 5 years, I'm going to get it out of my system.
Yeah.
Right. And I wanted to go there, and I wanted to. I didn't want to be picked on. Who does, right? Don't want to be looked at as a lame or anything.
You clearly went to the other side of that.
I know, right? And so, but I went in there and I had it built up in my mind that I'm going, you know, everyone's just walking around freaking tatted up. There's normal dudes in there, but I had it built up in my mind like I'm about to enter a war zone.
There's dudes like these guys in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's dudes that you would never assume that they chopped off people. And then there's dudes that, you know, are all buff and they had a DUI or something.
Yeah.
And so I had it built up in my mind that I was entering like a war zone and I was just going into battle. And then when I got there, I was so nervous.
What's your first yard you hit?
Steiner Blue.
Oh.
No, sorry. That was a lie. I went to Wallapai.
Okay.
Kingman. It's a 3-yard out there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so I went there and it was just like walking down and you're just seeing the yard, you're seeing all the orange and you're just taking it in like.
What do you remember the first time you hit in a prison yard? Because Steiner or Kingman's a pretty kickback 3-yard, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because it's not DOC, it's MTC. It's some private funding.
Yeah.
So you get like better mattresses, better blankets, better
shit.
everything.
Dope.
And they're like, this isn't like prison. And I was like, oh. I remember my first memory from it is I get greeted by this dude, right? Check your paperwork. He looks weird. He's got like long hair, mustache. He's freaking 5'2".
Can I check yours?
I'm like, you're the guy that's freaking checking my paperwork? But I'm 19, 20, so.
Yeah.
I do that. The dude that's running the building, I look at him and I'm like, these aren't the guys that I've heard about, you know? And so I'm just taking it all in.
Yeah.
And I remember this freaking dude came in, you know, my first week in prison. And I remember talking to him. I was like, if anyone needs to get beat up, like, I want to do it. You know, I made sure that was known off the rip. And so anyway, there was a guy that came into the pod. You know, everyone's kind of looky-looing. When he goes over, the guy goes to check his paperwork, and then the dude ends up checking in. I don't know what's going on because I'm fresh.
Yeah.
He goes, and he's like, he pushes the button. He's like, I need to go. Well, the second he leaves the door and it shuts, one of the guys is like, that guy's a mo. Like, checked his paperwork and said, you got to go. And I was blown away. All the stories that I heard from prison, and you freaking tell this dude he has to walk out.
Yeah.
And that was my first experience where I was like, man, it's not what I thought it was. And I had no idea what to expect, but what I had built up in my mind, this
totally
not
crazy,
it.
not yeah. So how'd you start getting involved, putting in work and stuff like that?
So anyway, it just came to. I remember the first fight I got into. It was a personal issue with this dude. I felt so disrespected, and I was kind of like looking for a fight because it was within my first like month or so, and it was about going to chow or something. It was so dumb, and I was like, yeah, meet me in the back. And I was like, fuck you, meet me in the back. And I went, I knocked him out in one hit. And then it was like everyone's perspective changed. Because the second you see someone fight, you're like, oh, there's some respect or whatever. And I remember that happened. And then I felt good because it was a personal issue. I squashed it.
Handled it.
And then, you know, that word obviously got back that, hey, youngster, da-da-da-da-da. And then I remember there was this dude that came to the yard. And they're like, hey, we've got a good one for you. And I was like, okay. And he was like 6'3", 250, has like a 09 number. And I'm like, this dude's about it, man.
Yeah.
And that's how it began, right? So it was like a personal issue, and then it turned into that. I ended up beating this dude on the rec field. I broke my hand, I feel like. And because I was like, I can't lose.
Or can't
you
fuck this
get
up.
pepper sprayed on the yard. You're cuffed up. Everyone's clapping. And I had that first taste, and I'm like, this is what I want for life.
This is the life. Huh?
This is it.
This is the life.
Yeah.
Now that you have kids, like just imagine that feeling, having that feeling from living that lifestyle. Because you have it all the time now with the kids, you know what I'm saying? Because I do all the time. It's like, God, we're such different people now. Imagine having that thought back then, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how did you even get proposed to? Okay, so now you're involved in the politics.
Mm-hmm.
Even myself, I never tattooed bolts on me.
Yeah.
When did you make the decision that you're going to try and like go all the way like that? Or was it right then? It's just like, to me, just everything just kind of happened. I was like, I'm down for whatever. Like, I don't care. I hate my life. I hate God. I hate everything. You know what I'm saying? Was it like that, or was there like a moment for it? Or?
I just was vocal about it. I was like, I want to earn my ink. Like, I want to know that like the things that I'm doing, I want to earn my ink with it. You know? So like, I don't want to be the guy that goes and just punches someone in the face because he owes somebody $10 for store. Like, he needs to handle that. I want the good ones, you know? And so I just made it known.
What are the good ones for the listeners out there like that? You're saying you're like literally asking to want to stab people in the yard.
I didn't think I was willing to do that until the opportunity presented itself. But yes, that one, like stomping people out. The good ones where it's like, this guy did something very bad.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like I don't want to fight someone over a personal issue. I think that's their their stuff.
100%.
But like the good ones are the ones where like these are people that need to be taught a lesson, right? And so I wanted to wait for those ones. And then obviously, you know, you get the reward for it of like you could start earning your letters for your white pride or, you know, get all your other stuff in there.
Yep.
And so for me, it was like, cool, I can fight people and do this. And I can also get this, which is going to elevate my status.
I was saying you get respect on top.
You get respect. Like it was a win-win for me. You know, 20 years old, who wouldn't want that? And so I just made it vocal. And then so after I was at Wallapai, I went to the hole. And then after that, that's when they opened up the 3 yards. And so it was about that same time. So I got spit out to Steiner on the blue side. And there was some guys there. And I think it's just being surrounded by the right people. Yeah. They kind of see you and they see like what you're capable of. And they're like, okay, cool. You have 2 types of leaders, right? Like people that are going to use people up, and then you have people that kind of look out for your best interest.
For sure.
For whatever reason.
For sure.
I felt like I had people that looked out for my best interest based on what I told them I wanted. And the opportunities presented itself. There was a guy there that wanted to make a name for himself, and it was like, boom, 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 boom. It was just nonstop.
Yeah, Steiner was like that.
Steiner was live.
All those Buckeye yards are like that.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
All right, so anyways, you clearly got that. Earned all that stuff. We were on the yard, you know, we're at the end of our sentences, you know, on the yard, some really bad shit happened, and we ended up going to the hole for it, just for investigation stuff. But, you know, could have been really, really bad, and just seeing what happened on that yard changed all of our lives, like, completely. And when you got out, I'll just let you, whatever your words, the end of your prison sentence, what happened, what the mindset you had, and then what you did when you got out of prison because you put yourself in a place. Just break all that down for everybody right here listening.
Yeah, so we were on the 3 yard, and I remember, you know, some really bad stuff happened. We get sent to the hole, and then we got shipped out. Where did you go from there?
I went to the hole in Maury.
In Maury?
I sat there until I went home.
Okay. So they spit me to CB5 or CB7. I forget which one of those was like slammed. No, I got spit out to Dakota, actually. So I went from Steiner to Dakota after the investigation, which that was wild. They had us like gurneyed or whatever you call it, belly chained.
Belly chained, yeah.
But they pulled us into SMU backwards and on our bellies on a cart. Like a creeper,
really?
Like you're working on. Yes. There was like TSU around you or whatever. I felt like Hannibal Lecter, dude. It was insane. So they take us out of the van.
I want to hear this even.
It's wild. They put you on your belly or your back, I forget. And then they wheel you. You're like on this cart and they wheeled you. There's like 5 or 6 of them. And I think it's so you don't like know where you are in the complex. But I went there and I remember they put me, I think it was, there was one that was open cell by myself. And then there was one where I was closed cell with Sean. And I remember going there, and I remember it was
So they
super
put you guys
loud.
in a cell together after this?
After it. So I think the first one we went to, we were separated. And then after that, we were together. And then from there, we got shipped out. I went to Dakota. I ended up getting in a fight like 2 or 3 weeks on the yard. And then from there, I ended up going to Florence Complex. Okay. And then I spent the rest of my time, I did CB5, CB7, which was completely slammed down. And then they had a walk-in 5 program in CB2.
How was CB5 and CB7? Because that's 24-hour day lockdown.
Yeah, it was needed for me at the time. It gave me a lot of wall time to think and count bricks and all that stuff, and really analyze how I got here, right? Because 2 months previous, or 3 months previous, I was on a yard. I could go out whenever I wanted. I was on a 3 yard. I had visitation, and then due to something that like could have been avoided, now I'm in a cell where I can't get out. I can't go to the yard. And so it was just thinking about
your life changes just like that.
Yeah. And the road to get there, like being in, I think I was next to people that were like on suicide watch because there'd be people screaming in the middle of the night before I moved over to CB5, CB7. Yeah. And it was just life changing, right? Like you're in this cell, you've got no stimulus, you're just doing your stuff. It's hot because it's Arizona. You're just like, what am I doing? Right. So you just analyze like what you want from your life. And I think all those events surrounding it, like I was at this fork in the road where I went down hard on this path and I decided that I'm not this person. Like it doesn't jive with me to my core. It's not what I want. It's not, this isn't the outcome I want. I don't want to do all this stuff and be in a cell where I was doing it for all this glory and all this recognition, but you don't have it. And you're just a story on the yard.
Yeah.
That's it.
Literally. Yeah.
The day you're gone, nobody thinks about you, nobody writes you, you're just living with your consequences.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was a huge realization that like, it's just me in here. And so I think at that moment I was like, I'm not going to fight anybody else. I'm just going to do the rest of my time. If something happens, something happens. But like, I'm not going to volunteer and put myself in these situations because I don't need to.
Yeah.
I've got 2 years to the gate. I'm good.
Okay.
That was the life-changing moment for me.
So then you got out, and what is your plans on your release?
So it was actually funny. So I'm in CB2, and then my fight.
Where'd you get released from?
CB2.
Oh, really?
I got out from
If people
Central.
don't know CB2, that's the old school, built in 1938, 5x7s, like legit Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
You can touch your arm, your cell like this, but this is how wide your cell is.
Yeah, you could do that. It's like 10 or 12 feet deep. It's cool because it's all the history that's there. And I just felt like, whoa.
Yeah.
But it was a walk-in 5. So you got all the benefits of, you had your own cell, which for anybody that's lived with a cellie, having your own cell is pretty cool.
Yes.
So you have that, but you could also have a job. And so I worked at property. And so, I mean, you know the benefits of property, right?
Yeah, I was in a relationship with a property officer before.
Yeah, you could sell a pouch for $40.
Yeah,
right. You just wholesale it, and then people. So there was a lot of opportunities there, and that's where I was like, this is really cool. Just having these perks.
Yep.
And so, leading up into my release, like I said, I was in CB2. I think I got like 1 or 2 fights in Central Unit just based on there was a guy that needed to get beat up, and I was the only one that was out. So I'm like, come on, let's just do it. Yeah. But I never threw myself out there.
Yeah.
So I'm doing this, and all until leading, I'm going to get released when I'm 25 years old. And leading up to it, I have in my mind that like I'm just going to get out. I'm going to live with my parents wherever they are, and I'll go to college, right? And I'll just try to make some sentiment of, I'll just figure it out, right? Mm-hmm. So I remember talking to my parents, and my dad's like, I don't know why you think you're going to live with us. Like you're in a maximum security prison. You obviously have some things you need to figure out.
No way.
Oh yeah. He like put a stop to it. He's like, this isn't what's happening. And so my dad was talking about like a halfway house. My mom was looking for other options. And so she ended up finding the John Vulcan Academy. And so for those of you who've never heard of it, it's a 2-year program in Gilbert where you live and work on a ranch, but it's a life skills academy where there's no barbed wire. There's no fencing. You're just there to change your life. And it's a bunch of addicts that can call you on your BS. Mm-hmm. Because I'm a drug addict. So are you. When you start manipulating me, it doesn't matter what it is. That's a bad behavior.
Yep.
So you can call other people on their stuff. And so she found out about this place, and I remember her talking to me. She's like, how would you feel about working at a ranch when you get out? And I was like, that's cool. Like a cowboy.
So you signed up for 2 years.
Dude, and so in my...
Did you know it was 2 years going into it, or did she trick you?
Kind of both.
I just figured there had to be some type of trickery.
Oh, dude, she's like, yeah, so it's what did she say? She said, yeah, it's this place where you go and they don't pay you any money, but like you got to be there for 2 years. And in my head, I'm like, that's weird, but maybe it makes sense. I'm working, maybe it's to cover my food and board, and that's it. And I remember she kept bringing it up, and I'm like, Mom, why do you keep bringing this up? And she's like, well, I just want to make sure that you're still committed. I said, Mom, what's the catch here? And I was like, is this a rehab? And she's like, well, it's not a rehab. It's for people that want to make a change. And I said, nope, I'm out. I don't want to do this. I just did 5 years. I'm not going to go spend 2 years at a rehab. I did my time. Let me just get out and figure life out. And so that was a very big, like I told my dad to F off. He disowned me a couple weeks later, said, oh, dude, it was pivotal for me. I needed it. But he said, I don't know who you think you are, but we've done nothing but try to help you. You said F you to us, like screw you. Figure life out by yourself. You're not my son. I never want to talk to you again.
He said that?
Oh, yeah, he dumped me. He completely disowned me.
Do you guys talk to this day?
We are amazingly tight.
Cool.
But it took that time, and it took that for me to be like, I surrender. Right?
Really?
Like, I will do whatever. So I called my mom, and you don't have cell phone. Well, I did at the time.
For sure.
But you call, and like they wouldn't answer my phone calls. So it finally gets through, and my dad tells me this, and then my mom's like, I'll help figure something out. And so when I got released, my dad didn't even know that my mom was going to help me out. He didn't even know that she paid the $5K for this place. She did it all behind the scenes.
No way.
And my brother-in-law picked me up. We went to Starbucks. We went to get a pair of boots. We went to Smash Burger to get some food, and then I went directly there.
No way.
Yes.
I mean, mad props to you now. Like, it shows why God's blessed you so much now. Going out of 5 years in prison and then just checking yourself into a 2 year. I mean, prison is what it is. Like, it's a different spot, but you have no freedom. You have freedom, but you don't have your own freedom. Wow, man, that's crazy. All right, and then your thoughts in this place, and then how much do you still like know about like life at this point, and how much are you just going through the motions, or are you like trying to like discover yourself, or like what are your thoughts? And I'm big on mindset, so I'm always like to get people's mindset on certain things.
Leading up into it, I wasn't in a good spot even getting out of prison because like heroin wasn't my jam.
Were you still doing drugs?
I was.
Got out? Yeah.
Yeah, and so I never
listen. No matter, it doesn't matter if heroin's your drug. If you go to prison, heroin's
your drug, right? Yeah. And I was tipping caps, dude. And so leading up until like my thing, I was inconsistent. If I'm around dudes that aren't doing drugs, I wasn't doing drugs. Same. I had accountability. If I'm around and I'm selling it and I'm doing all this stuff and it's just there and I get bored, like I'm susceptible to bad habits.
Yep.
And so I was doing it up until 3 days before I get released. Not a lot, just a taste.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, well, I'm going to rehab, right? Like they're going to expect me to come in and fail a UA. So I was going to stop using 3 days before. But I ended up just using every day until I got released.
No shit.
I wasn't doing a lot, so it's not like I got dope sick, but yeah. So mentality going in, I still was in a bad spot because I was using. Mm-hmm. Made the decision I wasn't going to fight people and do that, but I'm still using drugs, so I'm not clear.
Yeah.
Going into this place, I had my eyes wide open because you drive around it, and it's next to Santan Mountain at the base of it. It's on Val Vista and Riggs Road. And they actually hosted Gilbert Days for a few years back. They had consecutive years. And so it's this big 40-acre property, and there's horses that are boarded there, and these arenas, and there's just normal people cruising. And as you know, the day you get out of prison, you see all these colors. And I remember drinking a soda, and it's bubbling on my lips from the fizz. And so going into it, I'm like, this is my opportunity. I'm already done 5 years. I am going to be here for 2 years. I promised my mom, like, I'll go, I'll do whatever it takes. I now need to invest 2 years into becoming the best person that I can because I have nothing. I'm at my rock bottom, even lower than I was before. I have nothing. Yeah. And my mom went out of her way to give me this chance. And so I get there and I'm looking around and it's guys like you. It's just normal looking dudes. Mm-hmm. I'm like, where are the drug addicts? And they're like, these are it. There's 24 other guys that are just working on a ranch. And so that was the day that I started looking into it, where it's like, okay, I'm not using drugs. I'm surrounded by all these good examples who want to get clean. Mm-hmm. And so I just wanted to just do the best I could because 2 years is going to be a small investment in myself. But if it gives me my future, then it's worth it.
So your mindset there, this whole thing is going to like go head first into this stuff, figure shit out, and
just like
do
everything.
the full 2 years and then figure it out. And then did you have plans then for after that, what you wanted to do, or you just need to get through this and then figure it out?
Just need to get through it.
So then what did you do after that? Because there's a lot of people listening that have no plans. Like, what the hell what did you do, and how do you start taking these small steps?
Yeah, so I was really blessed in the fact that there is a reentry phase where you go through, you're supposed to have your blinders on, focusing on yourself, and then you have a reentry phase where you can, you get a gym membership. And then you can start going out, and then you're surrounded by people, and then you can get a cell phone. So it's very programmed in a sense where it can like ramp up for you to get out. So I was looking forward to getting a job, and I was open to whatever opportunity. All I've ever had is hard work or work ethic. And so I didn't have the credentials to say, I want to be paid X amount of money. It was just like, let me work.
Yeah.
And so I thought I was going to be a well driller, right? I thought about going into the oil field or something like that. But the opportunity that came my way was we were doing some service at this lady's house, like a garage sale. And there was a guy there by the name of Jeremy Fuller who owns a company called Code Steel, or owns. And so what they do is non-NDT testing, which is like you go to mine sites and you measure how thick the storage tanks are. Then you can send an engineer report and say, hey, based on how much you have here and the degradation, you're going to need to replace this tank or get it cleaned. And we were basically selling tank inspections. Okay. I know nothing about this stuff. Yeah. I just looked at it as the opportunity, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that. So I started doing that and graduating from the ranch and then going to work in the real world. At the ranch, you're working Monday through Saturday, Sunday maybe, minimum 40, 50, 60 hours a week. And so transitioning, I was working for 40 hours, no overtime, A lot of it was work from home because I'd be cold calling these places off of this list that he gave me. I'm selling something I've never done to people I've never met. Like I was completely unprepared for this. Yeah. And it was so unfulfilling that I started looking for something else. I ended up working at a toy hauler dealership called Robbie White because one of my roommates at the time was
Shout
working
out to
there.
Brad White.
Shout out to Brad White and Brock White. But yeah, so I started working there, and that was where like I felt like I was in the right spot. I was in the right vessel. I was where I needed to be.
How'd you meet Brad?
So I met Brad through working there. He was the general manager at the time of all the stores. I originally was introduced to Brock White, who was one of the owners at the time, because I was in treatment at the John Vulcan Academy with his brother Tanner. So anyway, I got an interview from him. I ended up getting the job, start working, and then my life changed there because I had a job where I could work 50, 60 hours a week. Yeah. I was getting $17 an hour, which for me, like, was a lot.
Retirement money almost.
I know, like, I don't need anything else.
So, all right. So then, how did your life start like getting really good? When did you meet your wife? And then, because for like people that don't know, like, you're, making multiple six figures now, kids, great dad, like just a great human being, you know. So where does it? So
I was at Rolley White for 6.5 years. I ended up meeting this girl after I graduated from the ranch. We ended up having a baby. That's Braxton. So I meet her. We're together for a while, and then just through being at Rolley White, like I was in the service portion, and then I was service manager, and I kind of worked my way up through there. And I'd never made that much money before, and so it was really cool to have this leadership where harder I worked, the more money I got, and I got a salary position, and then I got bonuses. And once I cracked six figures, for me, like I remember my goals and aspirations were to make $40,000 a year.
My number one thing, I was like, if I can somehow figure out how to make $1,000 a week, like I would be happy for the rest of my life. That's what I used to tell myself.
I remember
I used to do math and like playing bills. I'm like, God, if I had $4,000 a month, what I could do, I could just
it seems like so much money. Yeah. So I was like, if I can make $40,000 a year, I'm good. And then you make 40 and then 50. And I had this guy that was like, you're not gonna make 50K your first year. And I made like 75K my first year, and he took me to dinner. But I had these goals, and the goals kept getting bigger, and I was in this right vessel to do that. Yeah. And you make 100K and then 120 and 150. And you're just like, dude, for a guy like me, that's life-changing. I bought my house in 2019. I bought a new vehicle. I've never had a new vehicle. Mm-hmm. And then you start buying these things, and you still have money in the bank. Yep. That was so cool for me to see. And so that was a really good 6.5 years. What was your question again, though? I don't know. Just keep talking. So I was doing that, and then I reached a certain point where I was the manager at the Mesa location, which is their busiest location. Uh-huh. I'm the general manager at the location. I'm hitting top salesman. You know, me and Jared would always compete for top salesman spot, and I just I was in this phase of just wanting to do hard things. Right, cold plunge, yes. Door knocking, yes. My buddy was doing door knocking for solar. I was like, that sounds crazy, dude. Let me do it with you. And I did it so I could go on my day off and just be thrown into the ringer. I don't know anything about solar, and I don't door knock, but I want to do it so it makes me better at sales. So I started doing that, and then I just got surrounded with people that were making 250, 350, 4, and you're just, for a guy that was making 100 to 150, I'm looking at that like I'm working 60 to 80 hours a week on my days off. At the dealership, that dealership life, it never ends. And these guys have the autonomy to not do that, and they're making double what I'm making. And so the light bulb clicked for me that, how scary was that to quit, though? Because it's different for me. Like, we're not like a regular dude that got to college and went and got a job. Yeah. If it doesn't work out, they go get one at the next dealer or next store. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I'm like, shit, when I quit my job, like, if this doesn't work out, I don't know where I'm going to go next. I don't know what other dealership I'm going to get hired at. And this was the only one thing I had to work. So how much of a stress was that for you, knowing your past? Like, this is your one little thing that's been working out for you? It was super stressful. I remember I went through this phase where I didn't know what I wanted to do. Especially when you got a good friend you're working for, too, because you and Brad were pretty tight, it seemed like, even back then. And that's the hard part, because he's like my mentor. He's that just shows what a good guy he is, though, he's amazing, you know? Right? So I would be having conversations with him on a friendship level about, like, wanting to leave. And then, so he was kind of like in this weird spot where, like, he's like, I'm still wearing my work shirt. You can't talk to me like that today. No, he was really good about that. Sure. He gave me really good advice. And so I had a couple options on the table. I was going to pursue a State Farm agency. I actually went through the onboarding procedure. There's a lot of steps you have to take. to have your own agency.
Gotcha.
My uncle runs a State Farm agency in Chicago. So he got me linked up with the recruiter down here. And I went through, I took all the tests. I was getting the testing. I made a business plan. I still even have a business plan for if I have my own insurance agency. And so I'm working at Rolly White. I'm door knocking on Wednesdays for solar. And I'm doing all this stuff to push the needle forward with the insurance. And I'm doing too much. I'm waking up at 4, I'm going to bed late. It's too much for me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I need to just focus. And so I just looked at the lifestyle that the people I wanted have. And it's that competitive stuff. It's that like bro culture.
Yep.
And I figured solar was it for me. Lower barrier to entry, higher yield for your return on your time.
Yep.
And so I had like $40K saved up to like bridge the gap if I didn't get paid for a few months. And so it was very hard because I've never made as much money as I am at Rolly White. But then walking away from that for no guarantees, except for just betting on myself, it was probably one of the scariest decisions I've ever made.
I feel like that's what I talk about when I say like we have an advantage on the rest of the world, bro. Like once you can figure out how to get sober and like all that shit's figured out, like on top of that, like we ain't scared of shit. Like the normal shit that like terrifies the normal public or stuff. They're like, I'm not doing that. Like I'll fucking do that tomorrow in 2 seconds. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Which is that, and that's a prime example of it right there. So
Yeah.
Clearly that's working out well for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do the roofing, solar, a lot of batteries lately, but you know, even transitioning that, right? Like having roofing be the main source, it's been awesome. Like hitting the ground running, storm season, all that stuff. Like it's been amazing just knowing that since I've done it once, I can do it again, and taking a shot on myself, investing into myself, knowing that if I wanted to go out and start an ice cream stand, there's a good chance I would do it, and I would do it well.
And that's why you take chances too, because now that you've done that and you figured it out, how much more confident are you to fill out now? If I had to quit this and go get another job, you could do it in 2 seconds. That's like literally why you put yourself through shit that you don't think you can get through.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
1,000%. That's like cold plunging, right?
Yes.
I love cold plunging every week. I go on Saturday or Sunday, and I love doing it because it
Where do you go?
fortifies.
Do you go to Ellsworth and Bayside?
I go to Augment.
I don't know what that is.
Augment, it's on like Queen Creek and Higley, I think.
Okay.
It's a wellness place. We do the infrared sauna
nice.
for 20 minutes, and then we'll do cold plunge and then hot tub therapy. We'll just do contrast therapy.
Oh.
But it's awesome because sometimes the water's really cold, like 32, 34, and I'll be like bracing myself in there just knowing that the only way I'm getting out of this is if I quit or when the time says I can get out. And that just transfers over to every level of my life. Because like the only reason I won't succeed is because I'm not doing the work. Mm-hmm. And just taking a chance on myself was the scariest thing, but it was also the most rewarding because I've done it a couple times again since then, and it's significantly easier.
Yeah, just like I said, Yes. You've been through it, now you're like, oh, that wasn't nothing.
Yeah, and you're like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Right? Just like you, if you're leaving the dealership, you know that like, hey, I bet on myself. Yeah. And the second time, was it easier than the first time?
100%.
And how much money were you making at that time?
And I'll tell you what, the second time I was 1/10 as prepared as I was the first time.
Really?
Just so you know, like I had 10 times the money saved up, more prepared, had no strings holding me back or anything. Now, you know, I have kids, full on family, you know, I have 15 grand in bills. I'm on like big stuff, you know, but it's still like, I've done that. I'll figure this shit out this time.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Think about like if for the normal person, if they had that burden, they have like 2 grand in bills, and for them leaving a $20 an hour job,
literally,
it's crippling.
Yes.
They would never do that.
100%.
So,
all right. So, hey, I'm big on, especially just like dudes being good dads and stuff like that. And I know that you're a great dad. Like, I want to just talk a little bit like how fulfilling it is, like being a parent and just like what you get out of that and like how rewarding it is. Like, I don't know. I want more dads to like get involved with their kids and just be good fucking parents, like not make their wives do everything. And like, I don't know, like there's nothing I like doing more than spending time with my kids. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if a lot of it is because, you know, when you've had no freedom and you've had nothing for a long time, like you just like grapple onto that more. But like, how rewarding is it for you being a dad now? And was that, you probably got that from your dad, though, so you were able to see that growing up, or where did you get that from?
So I'm definitely different than my dad as far as how he is. I have awesome examples for parents though. Like my dad was amazing growing up. My mom was amazing. But with my kids, like I'll give you an example. So my oldest, he's turning 7 in September. I recently just bought him a quad, and so another shout out to Brad. he gave us a little 50cc quad. And so when Braxton and Remy are on it, you know, it's 2 kids on this little quad. And so Braxton's always saying, hey, I want another quad. I want another quad. And so I knew that it was in the future. Well, it was so rewarding being able to get that for him and surprise him with it, right? We got him a helmet. We got him riding gear. So that way they both have quads now.
Yeah.
And the feeling, I got so much joy in, I was driving the quad to go surprise him. They were at the park. They were kind of like misdirection. They were looking at the current quad. And I remember coming around the corner and I could probably pull the video up and just cry because seeing Braxton's face when he like looks over and he hears something and then he sees me, he's got a blank stare on his face and then he recognizes that it's me and he screams my name, Daddy. It was such a high knowing that like I paid for it cash.
You caused that moment too.
Yeah. And he'll never forget stuff like that. Going camping, going to the different cabins that we've been to.
You had me tear-eyed literally thinking about that. No joke. Bro.
It's so awesome to be able to, we do these things like I'll go out and I'll sacrifice. I'll work 12, 15, 20 hours. I don't care.
Same.
I will sacrifice right now when my kids are young because when they get old, I want to not be a slave to time, like to trading my time for money. And be like, sorry, Daddy has to clock in. And so I want to just grind right here. And I want them to see the example that, hey, I'm sacrificing right now so that we can have an amazing future.
Yeah.
And to be able to do stuff like that is so rewarding because it just validates my feelings.
And I don't know about you, but like I all the time, especially in my backyard, I was doing it last night when I was out with my son and my wife, and I'm just like sitting, I'm like, for 2 things, I think. For one is, my son is one of the luckiest kids he gets to grow up in this house.
Yeah.
And 2, and I'm like, I can't fucking believe my kid gets to grow up in this house because of me. You know what I'm saying?
That's so
like,
awesome.
It's crazy to
it's
me.
so wholesome.
It's beyond that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I never even thought I'd have a shot at life when I got out of prison. You know, like I never thought I'd survive prison, you know? And then it's like, even when I did, and then I never thought I'd make shit of myself out here, you know? It's like, now it's like, and then on top of that, now it's like, I get to like give my son a life. I've never even seen some kid live before. You know what I'm saying? Like my kid has the life, bro. Like, and it's so cool to know that like I caused that, and because I was able to fix my shit and change. Like now that I get to give my son some shit that's like I never even knew existed, bro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's a heavy burden to bear, though, right? Because it's a double-edged sword. I'll probably butcher the saying, but it's like hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, weak times create strong men, or something like that. But it's like this cycle where it's a battle that I face all the time. If I give my kid everything he wants, he never has to want for anything. Therefore, he never has to learn grit. And he'll always think that dad's going to hand him stuff. Yeah. But that's not how the world is. Think about your life. What was handed to you? What did you have to earn? Right? And so it's kind of like one of those things where I want to give my kids stuff, but they also need to show through their actions that, hey, there's a reason for this. It's not just because dad had a good month that you're getting this. It's because you've been doing solid in school and you've been picking up and you've been being a good brother. So I think it's a double-edged sword there where it's like, what are your thoughts on that?
Exactly that. You hit the nail on the head right there. I think the exact same stuff. My wife worries about it more than I do. Okay. But I'm like this because with all, my connections and stuff I'm doing, she's like worried that my kid's just going to grow up, like thinking, his shit doesn't stink and all this and that. I'm like, but I think the opposite. Like he's going to grow up like, I think hopefully like humble as shit and like, I'm going to take him to the prisons with me, you know what I'm saying? So he's going to grow up like watching me talk to these guys about prison and like change these inmates' lives and stuff. And if you don't listen to what I'm saying, you're in prison. Yes. This is why I do this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's going to be the opposite. I think he'll grow up with just like that. And the fact that I'm like super conscious of it, and so is my wife too. But I completely agree. And I think you're exactly right about that. Wow. I want to get out of here on this, bro. So you're just a stud, bro. And I hope like people can listen to stuff and like know like it's crazy. Like, I don't know, you build like crazy like relationships with people in prison, because like when you're like just in the thick of shit, like going through stuff together, you just have like really strong bonds, and it's like I had never had a dude. I always thought this. There was never a guy that I had spent less time in prison with that I felt like closer to or like more like similar to, if that makes sense to you, man. And so like I still think back to those times on the yard and buck, and it's so crazy to be sitting across here knowing that we're both married, family men, kids, own houses now, and it's like anything is possible with God, and last little bit of advice here, this is going to be played to the dudes. Listen to the tablets on there. So, You can shout out to anybody that you want to in the joint, but more than anything, just a little bit of advice or any type of direction you want to give to those guys listening to this right now. It's something that they can apply now or when they get out to get to where the fuck you are right now.
So first off, shout out to Sean Maxwell.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Let's not drink at all.
Yep.
Right? That's the biggest piece of advice. But it's just like if you go through prison, you can do hard stuff. If you like whatever route you take, you can prove to yourself that you can do a lot of hard things. And the best things in my life has always come from the other side of wanting to quit. If I look at, I'm having a hard day, I want to go home, but I call my girlfriend and I say, hey, I'm having a hard day. And then I go back and I knock one more door, I get a deal. If I want to leave whatever it's like super fruitful in my life has always come on the other side of wanting to give up and wanting to just leave. And so as long as you can persevere and be consistent, there's so many doors that'll open up. And just being like in management out here, there's so many people that aren't accountable, they aren't reliable. And so if you can develop into a good person by just showing up on time, doing what you say you're going to do, have a good heart, like have a good conscience, there's no opportunity that you can't go after. And so for me, sales has always been the vessel where I can do that. I can make the money I want to make. And so just the biggest piece of advice for me, being sober has always, like I've got 10 years clean and sober, and I'm able to do anything. Like being sober, and you don't meet a lot of successful people that have these vices of drinking or smoking.
Sure.
And so the quicker you can eliminate those vices from your life, 100%, the better your life will be. But be cautious about who you surround yourself with, especially if you're listening to this and you're in the joint. Just know that who you surround yourself with, you are going to become just like them. If I hang out with Chappy, I'm going to start carrying chapstick in my pocket, right? Like if I start hanging out with these dudes that
Seriously.
have Lambos, I will have a Lamborghini.
100%.
Right? You are going to become the sum of your 6 closest friends. So trust that your time is valuable and how you work on yourself is the best investment. And that's it.
That's great.
That's it. Just go on in.
That was awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in again.